Shalom. Give it all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rechak, Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the Ophulet Tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. So it's being alerted, throughout the country about a potential FF attack that can occur on the soil. And whatever happens would definitely be the catalyst to roll out, whatever it is that they're getting ready to roll out. Whether it be digital identification all across the board. Everybody must get on board for digital identification. Everybody have some type of digital device, with them at all times, or, whatever totalitarian policy that they can actually come up with, or that's already been prescribed. Like it says in Isaiah, was that 10? Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, which they grievously prescribed. All they need is just the right event, the right crisis, for them to, roll it on out. And, they've been talking about, the possibility of attack from within. And, this is prior to the whole Iran-Israel thing. And they was talking about this since, that you had the migrant crisis. They're trying to scare you about the migrants. We have, Trump was saying we have an enemy from within. And they was trying to place the blame on the northern tribes, that are in the country. So now things have gotten heated, after these ongoing series of attacks between Israel and Iran, and then the U.S., hops in. So now this is where we are, and they're in the midst of a so-called ceasefire, which we know is not really, it's not going to last. Something's going to happen, and they're going to, reignite it, and they're going to finish attacking each other. And that is just, both sides are trying to be strategic about it. But either way, it's just going to facilitate the big rollout. All right. Just wait and see. But in the meanwhile, we know what the scriptures say. The prudent foreseeth the evil and hides himself, but the simple look on and are punished. All right. That's why we got to be circumspect, as it says, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So this man, he got something brewing up his sleeve. All right. And, we know not to trust him, and we know not to get laxed. Don't get too comfortable. Don't be out and about, like everything is all good. Do what you got to do in your daily life. You go to work, you go run errands and bring your ass back home. Don't be out and about like that, because you never know, especially in these major cities. So anyway, this video is from Brightian. What's dude name, man? Mike Adams, I think is his name. But he's gonna play some information about how it's really the rats, the small hats. They're the ones that represent the highest risk of, those terror plots being in the country, especially with all the threats that they've been making. All right. And he's going to reference a few of them, and, there is receipts on it. All right. And given the nature and history of these people and what they've been responsible for, it's a very high chance that, they would, be responsible. because that's how desperate they want uh, Washington to get involved directly in this war to topple the current regime of Iran or Persia. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna just um, play the video so you can listen, and then I'll pause it every now and then, and I'm gonna, bring some receipts out and also get the scriptures.
Who warned about the fact that the highest risk of extremism or terrorism domestically in the United States comes from.
And let me, because it's very sensitive to even talk about that group of people. If you suggest anything about them, even claim that they are radicalized, because they can say that about any other group and it not be an issue or a problem. They can radicalize protesters. They can radicalize people with religious belief systems, but you can't radicalize those people. You can't say that they can't be responsible for any type of evil, or they'll throw that anti-SIM card, and possibly it could possibly be a violation of the guidelines, so to speak. That's how they rigged the algorithm. Where you can't say nothing about them, but you could say whatever about anybody else. All right, and the rainbow people, they're off limits, and the small hat people is off limits. So that lets you know who has all the power. But anyway, let's keep going. He's gonna mention them, but I'm gonna let me see. Let me play it.
Radicalized Zionists, not radical Islam. It's the Zionists that are now wanting to bomb America, as they say. They're posting in Hebrew about their desire to nuke DC, to kill Trump.
Now, let me pause it. And this is allegedly, right? This is allegedly. This is one of the tweets that brothers were sharing. All right. And this is a X post from one of those people in Hebrew. And you translate the Hebrew into the English, this is literally what it translates to. One symbolic bomb in Washington will remind Trump that he is not omnipotent and will restore our national honor. All right. And this post was posted on the 24th. So they've been making threats. So it seemed like they know what time it is. And, did we not learn about 9/11? People not understand what occurred that day and why the day before these people were getting all kind of calls not to show up to work that worked at the World Trade Center. They don't show up to work the following day, and then the planes start hitting the towers. So, this is what they do, man. And the world should be up on them by now. I mean, really, people are starting to wake up. All right. You even got Candace Owens getting up on Piers Morgan, and she's straight cooking them. Even though I believe she's controlled opposition, but she's saying what a lot of people already know and a lot of people feel. All right, and that's why they feel like they're being attacked, and they're the most hated because you've made everybody enemies, but everybody didn't have to, coddle you, protect you, send you aid, give you honor. And it's like, what for, man? You control and own everything, but everybody got to treat you with kid gloves. So let me, real quick, let me get a couple of scriptures. This is Proverbs 24:8. And it says, he that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. And it says in Proverbs 4:16, they sleep not except they have done mischief. And they lose sleep unless they cause some to fall. So it's just in their blood. All right, Micah 2 in verse 1, and it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they show time in and time out that they can carry out whatever it is that they plan. And they already control the media, so the media can give you a narrative to, blindside you, to distract you, or to deceive you. All right. So the story is already corroborated, the narrative. We have sleeper cells in the country, and they're possibly Iranian. People that consume mainstream news, I'm pretty sure that it's already programmed in their mind that that's what they're going to believe if something were to happen. Because these people don't have any discernment, or they're not prudent. All right. So let's go back. Now, this is just one example, right? And then there was let me get this real quick. Now, I don't know what article this was, but this was shared. Okay. And you see the headline, exclusive. All right. The small hat people plan FF operation on U.S. soil. All right. So, from remarks from this guy, all right, this warmonger, this war criminal, where he basically literally said, one today is Tel Aviv, and tomorrow it could be Washington, the Pentagon, or some to that effect, New York. So they already the alludings is quite clear. Okay. And they're pretty much telling on themselves without really, saying it. If something is to occur, they already got the narrative corroborated. All right. But you got to pay attention to what these people say and pay attention to what they have done. Job 15 and 5. And it says, for thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. And then they're very clever with their words. All right. They can, say certain things, and you just got to read between the lines. All right. Because they speak with a forked tongue. Okay. They tongue devise mischief and deceit. So anyway, let's go back to the video.
To nuke New York City. There have been calls by Jews for all Jews to evacuate New York City, probably because they know what's coming.
See, just like I mentioned about 9/11, what type of intel would they have? And if they at war with Iran and there's supposed to be something going on with Iran, why would Iran tell them what's getting ready to happen? The enemy just doesn't come out and just tell you, hey, I'm finna do this. I'm finna do that. I'm finna just show you every plan that I got. Come on, man. We're not stupid. So what intel would they really have? And who would be responsible? And with all the technology that we got, just like they got the technology over there. You can't tell me they didn't know that something was getting ready to happen on October 7th. We got too much AI surveillance technology everywhere, all over the world. So if something carries out, they know exactly what's happening. They know exactly what's going on.
Now, if you miss...
And this is allegedly, Salakia. This is allegedly, all right? I'm just giving you the news. I'm not saying anything is factual, all right, for the algorithm's sake, So I just wanted to throw that out there. This is the disclaimer, all right. But let's resume.
You missed my interview with Michael Yon. It's posted on brighteon.com and it's posted elsewhere. Links to it across social media. I've also got my channel on Rumble, which is Health Ranger Report or HR Report on brighteon.com. And Michael Yon and I talked about this, how it's very clear that Israel wants to carry out a false.
Oh, let me pause it. Allegedly. All right. Because, you say something directly like this. Yeah, I can see YouTube tripping. So I'm trying to be very careful with what I allow to play as far as the audio. But he's saying exactly, what can possibly be. So let me do this.
And of course, Israel has a long history of doing this. 9/11.
See, he brought up 9/11, just like I just mentioned. We already know, what was done. All right. But even then, back then, they corroborated a narrative. There's some guys in a damn plane that hijacked it with freaking, was it box cutters? And they turned the plane around, so they had some kind of flight training to be able to turn the plane around and drive it directly into these buildings. And then when they were, going through the rubble and taking bodies up from up under the concrete and the rubble, they found these guys' IDs or passports intact. It wasn't burned up or none of that. How you recover something like that from under rubble and smoke with all that fire and heat and radiation? But they found those IDs or whatever was found from these alleged terrorists. They found them intact. See, look, they were on the plane, so that got to prove that they did it. And there was so many documentaries made about this whole event that showed that pointed out every inconsistency, shit that did not add up. There were so many holes in the original narrative. And who controlled the media that pushed this narrative out? So your media lost its credibility a long time ago. All right. So if something were to happen, you should, based on everything that's happened. All right. Even going back, you had the SS Liberty. You had the Lavron affair. You had all these different things that happened. So they can come out and say who's responsible, but we all know better. Okay. So what he's saying is basically quite obvious to those that are in the know. All right. So let's listen to it just a little bit more, and then we'll get a few scripts and close out.
For example, who do you think was the expert in explosives that planted the demolition charges that brought down Building 7 and the Twin Towers? Why were there dancing Israelis celebrating the towers coming down? Why? Because they knew that would get Bush and the deep state to declare war on all of Israel's enemies in the Middle East, which was at that time called the War on Terror.
Exactly. You go into Afghanistan, you go into Iraq, talking about some weapons of mass destruction. Trump came out and talked about the Saudis, later, but no, notice that didn't go anywhere. They wasn't finna go, they definitely wasn't finna open up that can, you know. So yeah, they tried to play the blame game when we know that it was an inside job. All right. And they played on the stupidity and the naivety of the people, which back then, you didn't have social media, you didn't have the internet. I mean, you had the internet, but not the devices that we have today where you can quickly look up and find information. You know, we had to, basically, watch certain documentaries that was put out by journalists and authors and people who did investigative research on this whole thing, and they had to come and put it together. Different footage that over the years that had resurfaced. It was all type of shit going on, man. And this is this man's history. When people show you who they are, you got to believe it. The scriptures say that they're known as the border of wickedness. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They covered the faces of the judge thereof, not where who is he. So it's all coming out. And they have nowhere to run. Jeremiah 49 and verse 10. And it says, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not." And they've been responsible for a lot of different regime changes all around that side of the world. So now there's one left standing that they're trying to take out. So they didn't spoil everybody except Persia so far, because they got the backing from the big bear, Russia, and also you got China. So it's been taking them longer to plan this out, to try to get them toppled. But the U.S., Trump, he knows how dangerous this is. So to carry out the them trying to go up in there, it's been prolonged, because you can't just go in and do to them what you did to Iraq or Syria or Libya. Can't do it. So yeah, man, he's being found out. Can't hide himself anymore. Can't hide up under these narratives, these lies. So yeah, let me get this. Luke 8 and 17, it says, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." And, because of this, more and more people are starting to know who the devil is now and who to blame. And that's why they're becoming small among the heathen and greatly despised. This is why, going back to Revelation 12 and 12, it says the devil is going to come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. All right, they're moving the way they're moving because their time is short. All right, they only got so much time before the Most High visits them. All right, so this is what to expect, especially for them to roll out, their new world agenda. All right, more surveillance, Palantir bringing out their data control system, basically on some total recall, Minority Report shit. Yeah. Enemy of the State. You know, watch all those movies, man. That's what they're trying to bring about in the country, and then eventually the MOTB. You know, that's gonna be the final touch. Everybody need to get implanted so that, you know, we can know your whereabouts. We can know what you're up to. We can know, you know, what you're planning to do. We can know what you're buying and selling. We can track and trace you. You know, we can trace your carbon imprint. So yeah, man. Hey, be sober and be vigilant. Be circumspect. So anyway, I'm not gonna play anymore because I'm shit. I might even get in trouble just for playing this much. But Lord willing, you know, because hey, YouTube, this is all allegedly. All right, this is all alleged. All right, we're not saying this is facts here, but you know, just saying. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Until the next one, Shalom.